present you the 10 films which I think deserve your special attention. I hope you will enjoy. And now, let's start. To begin with, I would like to tell you about one of my favorite films, which is called The Cruel Romance. So, The Cruel Romance, starring Larissa Guzeyeva, Nikita Mikhalkov and Alisa Friendlich, is an engrossing piece of filmmaking from director Eldar Razanov, who adapted Alexander Ostrovsky's 1878 novella, which is called Without a Dory. This inspirational and love-affirming film is a combination of love story and character study. The film was shot in Kostroma. The set of Russian romances is outstanding. The songs that gained widespread popularity in Russia were written by Bella Akhmadulina, Marina Tsvetaeva and Eldar Razanov. Thanks to the key actors, the play was brought to life on the screen. Now, let's come to the point of the plot. The story takes place in the 19th century. The plot revolves around a woman and her daughter, Larissa by name. They have great difficulty with finance. I mean, they suffer from constant lack of money. But nevertheless, the mother had impact on her daughter. The only thing she wants is to attract attention of wealthy men. She wanted them marry her daughter. But unfortunately, it was pointless. You see, Larissa was very young and beautiful, and men couldn't resist her charm. The point is that everyone admires her, but nobody loves. So as a result, she is mixed up in love affair with one man, but other man kills her, because he was completely lost in his suspicion. So in conclusion, I should say that Eldar Razanov succeeded in directing this film. I can't say that it's my favorite film, but I liked it in a way. The film left a deep and lasting impression on me. All in all, I would recommend it, because it's very close to reality and it can be very teaching.
I would like to tell you about the film which I liked very much, and it's called Fast and Furious 5. It's an action, full-length film. It was released in April 2011 by Universal Pictures in co-production with Original Film and One Race Film. This film was dubbed in many languages including Russian and was shown in many countries all over the world. The plot of the film isn't very complicated. Everything happens in Rio de Janeiro. A small group of handsome men fight with a criminal band which deals with drugs and money and disturbs the local citizens. The ending in the film is very logical, and the criminal band is destroyed and everyone is very happy. This film was directed by Justin Lin. Outdoor scenes predominate in the film and everything is quite to the point. There are also some indoor scenes, crowd scenes, which make the film very interesting and gripping. There are some stars in the film, and they are Vin Diesel and Paul Walker, who star in different Hollywood films. Their performances in the film is simply wonderful and magnificent, because they are seasoned actors. All the actors in the film succeeded in creating of true-to-life images on the screen. The sound effects are completely impressive, and the soundtrack of the film has become a real hit all over the world. In Fast and Furious 5, there are both speaking and acting accompanied by outstanding songs and melodies. Fast and Furious 5 have received mostly positive critical reception since its release, but there was also some negative, especially from Brazilian reporters who claimed that Rio de Janeiro is presented in the film like a very dangerous city with drugs, criminals and a lot of violence. All in all, I enjoyed this film very much. This film made a very positive impression on me due to the happy ending, special effects and good music. In my point of thinking, That film will never leave anybody cold.
One of the best historical drama film, Troya, was released in 2004. So, Troya, starring Brad Pitt, Eric Bana and Orlando Bloom, is an engrossing piece of filmmaking from director Wolfgang Peterson, who adapted Homer's Iliad. This inspirational and love-affirming style Hollywood product is a combination of action and love story. Thanks to the leading actors, the film was brought to life on the screen. Now I want to come to the point of the plot. So, Prince Hector and his young brother Paris went to Sparta to have peace between Troya and Sparta, so between their countries. But unexpectedly, Paris is mixed up in love affair with admirable and beautiful princess, Helen by name. She was so beautiful that he couldn't resist her charm. The next day, Greek king Menelaus didn't find his young beloved wife. He was completely lost in his suspicion. So, he decided to attack Troy. Initially, the Trojans succeeded to resist the enemy attack. So, the Greeks retreated and retreated. And when Greek army was at the point of losing, Achilles joined the fight and killed Hector, who was the head of Troy's army. On reflection upon the plan, Greeks decided to come into Troy using a wooden horse. Trojans thought it was a gift to the gods, took it into the city and celebrated. Then, at night, Greeks came out of the horse, opened the gates to the city and let their army enter the city. Eventually, the war was over, almost the whole Trojans were killed, and Achilles was killed by Paris too. As for the rewards, I should say that the film Troya received 3 awards and was nominated for 17 awards, including a nomination for the award Oscar for the best costume design. Now I want to say a few words about the shooting of the film. First of all, I want to point out that all the actors and actresses succeeded in creating a true-to-life images. It was very close to the past images. The battle scenes were technically well done and well acted. In conclusion, I should say that Peterson succeeded in directing this film. The film left a deep and lasting impression on me. I enjoyed it greatly. The film is interesting and teaching in some degree.
One more admirable film is Notting Hill. Notting Hill is a romantic comedy film which was released in 1992 by Universal Pictures. It was directed by Roger Michael and produced by Duncan Kenworthy. This film is about 2 very different people, Anna, a Hollywood star, and William, a bookstore owner. The film focuses our attention on the problems of friendship, disadvantages of fame, and love of people of different social levels. During the film, Anna and William encounter many difficulties connected with Anna's popularity, but however, Notting Hill has a happy end which cannot leave the audience cold. Julia Roberts and Hugh Grant played the main roles in Notting Hill, and their brilliant acting make this film credible and irresistible. Equally impressive are Emma Chambers and Rhys Ifans, who obviously attract audience's attention by their naivety and honesty. This film left a deep and lasting impression on me.
The next film is Dead Poets Society. The plot revolves around the story of a teacher of English language and literature who inspires the students to change something in their lives and awakes their interest in poetry and literature. The events take place in the fictional town of Welton Academy in Vermont, USA. The teaching methods of their new English teacher, John Keating, are unorthodox and unusual. He focuses on the idea of carpe diem. It means seize the day, don't lose your time in vain, learn to appreciate your life. He teaches his students to look at the world in a different way, to have their own opinion. That's why they meet all together at the old cave in the forest to read poetry and literature. One of the boys, Neil Perry, wants to be an actor, but his father disapproves this idea. So Neil was at a loss. He didn't know what to do. He asked Keating for advice. Keating advised him to talk with his father and make him understand how he feels. But Neil cannot muster the courage to do so. His father was very disappointed. He was at the point of sending Neil to military school, but Neil, unable to cope with it, commits suicide. As a result, Dean Nolan, the headmaster of the school, discovers about the secret organization, Dead Poets Society, and about the tragedy connected with Neil. So, Neil's father doesn't consider himself guilty. Instead, he blames the incident John Keating. Nolan makes the boys sign a document blaming Keating for abusing his authority, I mean secret organization and his unorthodox ideas. In the last episode, Keating came to the classroom to take his coat, and suddenly Todd, one of the boys, gets up on the desk and says, "Oh, Captain, my Captain." And so do many in the class. Keating, visibly touched, thanks the boys and leaves. All in all, this film never leaves you cold, because it is full of serious content. Therefore, I would recommend it to you in the view of the fact that the plot is very close to reality, and you can hardly fight back tears, especially in the last scene.
The cartoon that I'd like to tell you about is called The Lion King, and it's considered to be the most successful animated movie in the 20th century. This cartoon was released all over the world in June 1994 by Walt Disney Pictures. The Lion King was directed by Roger Ehlers and Rob Minkoff, who managed to succeed in combining dramatical and comedian plot in this cartoon. Moreover, Elton John and Hans Zimmer created wonderful soundtracks for this cartoon, and as a result, this animated movie was rewarded by Oscar Prize twice for the Best Family Cartoon and for the Best Music. Undoubtedly, this cartoon has great impact on every child because of its touching plot. A young lion prince, Simba by name, spent his childhood among his loving parents and friends, till his uncle, Scar, kills his father Mufasa and becomes a new king. Simba escapes to the jungle. In some years, he grows up, returns to the pride, saves his relatives and becomes a new legitimate king. As for my impression, considering this cartoon, I'd like to point out that it's more teaching rather than just entertaining film, because it has an influence on children's behavior. It can teach them to appreciate and to love parents and friends, and also to support them in different troubles. To sum everything up, this is a perfect animated cartoon which suits to all family members. It's teaching, entertaining, and touching.
Well, the next film is Sherlock Holmes. This admirable action mystery film was released in 2009. The film is based on the character of the same name created by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. The film was directed by Guy Ritchie and produced by John Silver, Lionel Wigram and some others. The soundtrack for the film was composed by Hans Zimmer. The plot centers on Holmes and his constant companion Watson. They race to stop Lord Henry Beckford, who was mixed up in murdering 5 young women. All the killings were ritual, so they resembled each other. Holmes and Dr. Watson had great difficulty with catching the murderer. He was just irresistible. Therefore, they have to come in contact with different people to get the necessary information. But as far as we know, Holmes was a great detective. Catching criminals was his just cup of tea, his calling. Besides, his faithful companion Watson had impact on him and helped him a lot. So, as a result, Holmes almost arrested the Lord, who was on suspicion of murders, but unfortunately he was killed resisting arrest. To sum everything up, I would like to point out some awards of this film. The film was nominated for Best Original Score, Best Original Direction, Best Music and Best Effects. In addition, the film won Best Thriller at the Empire Awards. All in all, this film will keep you on the edge of your seat right up to the end. This immortal and irresistible movie is full of complex and obscure ideas. It never leaves you cold.
One of my favorite documentary films is Pina, Passion Dance. The film looks at the ways in which we can see the world through the dance. The plot revolves around the contemporary dance choreographer Pina Bausch. An interesting comparison was made in the film. What is the better way to express your feelings, thoughts and emotions? By the words or by the dance? There are a lot of situations in our life which we find very difficult or even impossible to put into words. In this case, dance comes to help us. So dance is an immortal and irresistible language, and all we have got to do is to learn and understand it. Pina was a real professional in dancing. It was her cup of tea, just calling. She said that dance was a book which reflected a huge amount of admirable feelings, such as longing, hope, desire, passion, disappointment, delight, love, and even hate. Pina's partners in the dance team constantly said that she was a dower chest with jewels and gold. Pina wasn't an ordinary dancer and teacher. The point is that she never asked the audience to understand. She asked only to feel. The film reaches a breathtaking climax when Pina said that dancing is a constant searching for something new in your life. She said, "Dance, dance, otherwise we will die. Dance, dance, in the name of love." All in all, this documentary film offers a wealth of thought-provoking watching. The film has a real serious content. Therefore, it's not a film to everybody's taste. The documentary was clearly trying to promote understanding through detailed explanations of dance. The documentary was full of moralities and deep ideas. It was a very persuasive presentation which caused us to think about the meaning of the life and to appreciate it. The reviews of the film were almost all positive. However, there's minor criticism compared with the big budget of the documentary. In conclusion, I would recommend you the film, in view of the fact that it clearly points out the importance of dance in Pina's life and what we can learn from it.
Well, next, I'd like to tell you about a famous historical drama film, 300, which was released in 2006. This film is about an ancient Greek city, Sparta, and its 300 warriors who fought with an enormous army of Persians. The film director of this movie was Zack Snyder, who was famous for his unique way of shooting, I mean slow motion effects. And if I were him, I would certainly shoot all my films in such a way. The main character of the film was the King Leonidas, who was an experienced and brave commander rather than simply a king. He was the head of a small army including 300 perfectly trained soldiers. Despite lack of people, the Spartans won every battle against crowds of Persians, but in the end all of them were heroically killed. The film has nothing to do with the previous screen versions, which was shot in black and white. In my way of thinking, what the film needs is a little bit more breathtaking soundtracks. The point is that the soundtracks not always suit the scenes. And if I were a film director, I would choose the music more carefully. In conclusion, I should say that I have seen this film twice, and I enjoyed it greatly. It's not an easy film to watch, because the film contains a lot of violence. But however, you never forget it due to the breathtaking slow motion effects.
And the last film for today is called Can Men Be Pregnant? So, it's a Russian comedy which was released in 2011 by Enjoy Movies. It's the debut of a young film director, Sarik Andreasan. This comedy is about a man who works as a TV news reporter. He and his wife were dreaming of a baby, and after some time, miraculously, he became pregnant. After that, one of his friends decided to organize a TV show and make money on such a unique phenomenon. The fact is that only famous actors played in this film: Dmitry Duzhev and Mikhail Galustan, and of course Anna Sedakova. The composer included well-known songs such as Pretty Woman and I Wanna Be Free. This film is a real domestic comedy with unusual and very interesting plot, and if you have some free time, I highly recommend to watch this comedy.
Well, this is the end. Thank you for your attention. Watch movies and enjoy. Goodbye.